Happy Wednesday to everyone. It is time. It's me and Raj. It's Wednesday. You know what time it is. It's been a busy week for me, man. I've been chopping down some redwoods, but I finally got my guy Raj on here. We're not going to waste time with being clever with intros and stuff. We're just going to get into the 49er news. It was a loss last week. It sucked. 49ers looked bad on defense, and just overall, they didn't look that impressive. But that's why they play the game, and we have another week, and we have the Patriots, and we have a chance to go 500. So there's some positives in that. So before we get going on that, how you doing, Raj?
I'm good, man. It's Wednesday. I'm ready for the new week. We're just gonna forget about last week. That was a debacle. Guess what? Juwan Jennings won FedEx Player of the Week. So we're good, man. I'm happy. And Brock Purdy didn't miss time because his back was hurting from carrying the team, but he's good. So I'm happy.
Yeah, 49ers are pretty banged up at this moment. For anybody who doesn't know, I'm pretty sure you know by now. Javon Hargrave out for the season with a partially torn tricep. Brock Purdy was on the injury report this week. Like he said, with the back issue, turned out to be, well, I don't want to say it's nothing, but it turned out to be serious. And he's back at practice. Kittle was practicing on the side field today, is what I'm gathering.
He was limited.
He was limited, but he was. I mean, we saw some signs of life. Man, I listened to a soundbite today from trying to think of his name. They do the afternoons on KNBR. Tom Tolbert, and he was talking about how he's had a weird feeling about this season, and that he had like an odd feeling in his gut about the season with the injuries and all the holdouts and just the hangover and all that stuff. And I told you I felt the same way. And week one kind of got rid of that, but then week 2 and 3 have kind of like reiterated my thoughts about like this season just feeling like a 2020 kind of vibe, but even different in a way, because I feel we're a lot better team than we were in 2020, even with the injuries. But I don't know, man. You're a really positive guy. How have you been able to kind of like navigate the negativity? Because there's a lot of negativity going on with the Niners right now, and just get yourself motivated to like put one foot in front of the other and go to the next week, Patriots and all that stuff, and kind of maybe look down the line and say, okay, we still have a shot at this thing. Because I don't know. I don't know if we do. But what is your thoughts?
At the end of the day, man, I've seen this team struggle so many times, and they've started slow, and it's a long season, Aaron. And you look around the league, the 49ers aren't the only team that's not starting the way they want to. Every team sometimes get out the gate a little slower. And I know it's cliche, it's not how you start, it's how you finish, but it's true. A lot of teams right now, look at the Cowboys, they're 1-2. Nobody thought they would be that. The Bengals 0-3. The Ravens, they finally won their first game the other day. They lost to the Raiders the week before. So it is what it is. You take these losses early on, you wish that you get it to a hot start. The 49ers traditionally start slow. So I'm not too worried. All these injuries, they suck, but they're early. Hopefully, as the season goes on, they can get healthy, and at the end of the season, it's like, oh man, here they come, the big bad Niners. And if you watch the Niners enough, you realize they're actually probably better off being the underdogs when people count them out, backs against the wall. They use that as motivation. So yeah, these losses suck because we sit here and we're pouting and we're mad and we have to figure out and dissect the games. Why did they lose? Yeah, that sucks, the whole discourse on Twitter and social media. But when you really sit back and you look at the whole thing, you say, hey, it's 3 weeks of football is gone. We'll see how they do the next. You also got to look at its stage. It's like the first 4 games, the next 4 games, the next 4 games, the next 4 games.
Yep.
You might go through some weeks where you're going to lose 2-3 games. We're just losing those 3 games early, those 2 games early. And then what if we go on a big run? You win 8 games in a row. So then your record's great. So that's how football is. You're going to go through ups and downs, peaks and valleys. Right now, we're, starting slow. But I feel the 49ers will pick it up. They got too many good players. Trent Williams, he's not in shape. Brandon Ayuk, definitely not in shape. But as the season goes by, they'll get into shape, and they'll be able to pick it up.
Do you have any feeling that this Super Bowl loss could have a long-term effect this year, or do you think that they've washed that clean? Because I feel like it's a thing, because for me, I can't get rid of it, right? I'm still thinking about it, even though the season started.
I mean,
Can players still do that too? And can they be bogged down by the fact that like they have to go through another long run again? And last year we were real lucky. We didn't have a ton of injuries, and we were a really good offense. We were really good in the red zone. Special teams wasn't as bad as it is this year, but I don't know. Like I see the positivity, and I'm trying to look at the positivity. For instance, our quarterback. That's a really positive sign. People talked about him not being able to win. The Brock narrative is he has to strip all away his weapons, and then if he does well.
Yeah,
and I think Brock did about as well as you could do in a game against the Rams that we didn't win, which was the most disappointing part. Is he played his ass off, and he actually set a record. I have it up on here. I want to ask you about it. Brock Purdy, most 130 passer rating games in the first 3 years in NFL history. Pretty good, right?
It's amazing.
Because he has weapons, right?
It's not just because he has weapons. He keeps dispelling the narratives. He needs the Avengers. Fuck it, he is an Avenger, man. People said it today. I saw Ty. I was on the East Coast, read in Goal Gang, and he says he's Captain America. I was like, I like that one. Like at the end of the day, Purdy's just gonna keep on getting discredited. The media is gonna keep pushing the narrative. Well, he needs this, and then eventually they just keep pushing the goalpost. I don't care what the media says because I see it with my own eyes how good he is. You saw the passing chart. You saw the game. It's not like he's dinking and dunking. He's not a check down merchant. He's throwing it deep. He's throwing it far. He's throwing intermediate. He's extending plays with his feet. He's the man. He's the man. He's so good, man. I love Brock Purdy. I'm glad he's their quarterback. Feel bad that they lost, but you're not going to win every game. With Brock Purdy on the team, I feel confident that they can win a game. In the past, that wasn't always the case. And to answer your first question, whether the fact is, do these players have a hangover? I guess are they affected by that loss? Absolutely. I think everybody is. As fans are, I know the players have to kind of wash it off, but it's hard. They did this in 2019 where they lost, and it lingered with them. And that season, the next season, they had a lot of injuries, and a lot of people are saying this is 2020 vibes and da 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 da. I feel like this team knows what it takes. I think it's frustrating right now for them, but I think with the same token, they know they have to keep pushing and do what they got to do to get to where they need to be. And everybody in the league, it's not easy. It's not just the Niners. Everybody knows that it's tough to get to where you want to be because teams not just lose. Hey, we lost the Super Bowl, but other teams lost in the playoffs, first round of the playoffs, second round of the playoffs, whatever the case is. Those teams too, they know how hard it is to get back to where it goes. And the 49ers, I mean, these injuries, I think, are a multitude of factors. One being, they get to one of the last games of the season. It takes a toll. Then they have to train and get ready for another season and another season where they get far. So all these years of playing more games than most teams, it adds up. It piles up, and your star players are going to be banged up. So it's tough, but they know what it takes. I think they'll be back to where it needs to be. And as long as Brock Purdy's upright and healthy, I think they'll be fine. And as you said earlier, he's, on the practice field today. He was full go. Earlier this week, they had to give him an MRI, and he had back soreness. That was a little concerning because I feel like he was running for his life. He had to stretch for the first down. He was moving and twisting and turning. I think the big liability in this team so far, I think it's Colton McKivitz and Jake Brendel. They're not doing their part in helping Brock. And I think if anything is going to limit this team from getting to where that prevented them from getting where they needed to be last year, and that's offensive line. So
I went into that game last week hoping Brock would have a good game because, you got the people, the Nick Wrights, the Grant Cohns, and all the people of the world who like to spin that, he's only as good as the weapons he has around him. And he did pretty well considering, and he's also dealing with an offensive line and a right tackle that essentially is a revolving door who can't block for him. I was, and I'm old, I'm only a little older than you. I was super impressed with his performance. I was very moved to be like, you know what? Even if we start, we're losing. Even if we start to lose some players down the road and we have to start moving on, my brother said it best. He's like, the difference between your team and the Dolphins? You have a quarterback. And I was like, you know what? You're kind of right. And a lot of people, even casual fans who I work with, they're like, yo, Brock Purdy's pretty damn good. I'm hard to impress because I'm older and, the Montana, the Youngs, the Brady's, he's none of those guys. He's just Brock. And he played amazing in that game. Just keeping plays alive, the scrambling, the running, the accuracy. I was highly impressed. I hate buying quarterback jerseys because I got to see a lot of stuff and I got to be proven right. If he keeps on this trajectory, like if he gets paid and he plays well this year, I know I got one that was bought for me, but I am going to buy a legitimate, like healthy, expensive Brock Purdy jersey because he looked great. He looked really good.
He was fantastic, Aaron. And the guy, despite not having CMC, despite not having Debo, despite not having Kittle, put up 296 yards. He's number 2 in passing yards. There's all these every week he makes records. It's crazy. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take for people to really buy in on him. If you watch the film, he's good, man. You just see some of the throws. You're like, wow, this guy is. How did he get to the 7th round? But he's amazing, man. And that's credit to him. Is okay. Brandon Ayuk getting double teamed, and he's just not looking like Brandon Ayuk. He said, "Screw it. I'm gonna take what I have on this team." He knew what he did have was Jauan Jennings, and they have great chemistry. They've been building that over the last couple of years. When he needs a big play, Mr. Reliable, Jauan Jennings, third and Juwan, left they call him. He didn't earn that nickname for nothing. So Brock knew that, okay, if Brandon Ayuk's going to be struggling or he's getting doubled, because teams did kind of try to bracket him. And whatever is going on in that situation, Brock's like, screw it. Jauan Jennings is going to have single coverage, and he's going to beat that because he's good. People aren't respecting Jauan Jennings, and he's going to eat them alive. And he did exactly that. Like that first touchdown, I was like, oh, wow, here we go. That second touchdown where you see it, he like kind of ran to the side.
Kind of manipulated the pocket a little bit.
Yeah, he stepped up, manipulated the pocket, and he just darted. I was like, oh, my God. And then the third touchdown, just wide open, down the sideline, deep pass, fun play. I was like, wow, this guy amazing. He made some big-time passes, and he knew where Jauan was going to be. He's just understanding where his guys are going to be, and he just finds them. Like, he gets the ball, perfect timing. Like, there was that early in the game. I mean, Jauan just streaking over the middle, and Purdy, boom, dart, and he found it in a tight window. I'm like, man, this guy, I'm so glad we have this man at quarterback. And then he ran for 41 yards, Aaron, 10 carries.
It's funny because he's smaller, and it's funny because you look at him and he's so not impressive stature wise, right? Mm-hmm. But he plays like a guy who's 6'5". Yeah. He's like a micro machine version of Josh Allen. He doesn't have a cannon and he's not huge, but he does the same thing as far as like,
he can throw it deep though.
He's got that when people say, Joe Montana comparisons, Joe Montana was really good at manipulating the pocket. And he was accurate. And he got guys the ball in positions where they can move. The issue we always had with Jimmy is high and behind, inaccurate, hospital balls. He was saved a lot of times by guys who could break a lot of tackles. Whereas when you watch it with this guy, the throw that he threw up to him that only a guy at 6'4" could make, and Jauan went up and got it. I love throws like that. You got to have that kind of faith in your guys to throw that up there. And that to me was like, damn. Man, it's like you said, it's fun. It's great. You're lucky you have this quarterback. You just hope you can keep him healthy this year.
Yeah.
Offensive line has been playing like garbage.
Dookie water.
Yeah. Trent Williams got dinged up in that game. Go ahead.
Well, he didn't get dinged up. He's just out of shape. He needed an IV. He
needed an IV. That's right.
I'm sorry. 2 games in a row, he needed an IV. So it's like, Trent, you should have got your condition out. You're 36 years old. You need it's tough to like get mad at Trent because he's so good, but it's not like he needed training camp.
I got mad at him. I was yelling at the TV screen.
It's not that he needed to go to training camp to train and practice. He knows what he's doing. He knows he's Trent Williams. He can teach a class on how to play left tackle. He needed to get his legs under him. He needed to get conditioning. He's gassed. That bro needs oxygen, IVs, whatever it is. I mean, I'm sure he'll pick that stamina up, but come on, man. We can't be having that now. 36-year-old man, you need to know what you got to do to keep yourself in shape. So, yeah, and then you got the turnstile known as McKivitz. I don't know, man. I hope they can keep Brock upright. But that, to me, was the biggest concern in the offseason. We said it, and they just didn't address it. I feel like they were, okay with the mediocrity at that right tackle spot. I just hope it doesn't catch up with them and bite them in the ass. But on the flip side of the line, the trenches, the defensive line, too, is taking a bit of a slow start. They're not really being the big bad D line that we thought. All the money they're spending on it. Leonard Floyd really hasn't shown that oomph yet. Maybe he'll turn it around. It's still early. And then you got Javon Hargrave out for the season with the partially torn tricep. That one was that was a brutal injury because the night before on Sunday, Kyle's it's just contusion, and then you had everybody on Twitter ripping him apart. And I remember watching the video. I was like, he doesn't look like he's 100%. And then
he was literally standing, not engaging.
Well, yeah, because he probably couldn't push because his elbow. And then there was an injury that the report said it was a contusion. So I'm like, and I studied that video so much, Aaron. I remember going, I was like, it can't be a contusion. I sat there as a PT, fucking doing like a deep dive analysis, like I would with one of my patients. I was like, I replayed it and I was like, the arm kind of was flailing. I was like, I don't think it's a contusion. I was like, Aaron, I think Kyle's not telling us. I think they're gonna have an MRI or something. That's just in my mind. I thought the next day when Kyle makes the updates, I was like, I was fucking right. I couldn't believe it because if you watch that play, yeah, he kind of didn't give any movement. He kind of gave up, is what people say. But I don't think he could even move his elbow because it was torn. So when you tear a muscle, you tear the nerves associated. So I don't even think he could engage and lock that elbow into extension. And everybody ripped that man apart. I was like, dang, dude, people shared that shit. It went viral. People, this piece of shit. So I feel bad for Javon Hargrave. People owe him an apology, man.
Engraved. And I was very upset with him too. I didn't tweet anything about Hargrave. But I saw the video from Nick Newman and a lot of those guys. And I think Nick is great. I love him when he just goes crazy on the 49ers. I wish I had that kind of like anger and energy all the time.
Those rants are crazy.
I can't do that all the time. It's not good for my body and my health. Yeah. But he even owned up to it. He's like, knowing what I know now, like, oops. But you know, when you're playing like dog water, as the defense was in that game, because the Niners defense has been bad this season.
But Hargrave was good in that game. That's the thing that
he had the sack. But they're still interior. That defensive line is still getting gouged in the run game. Like, they are consistently, and he's part of that.
You can't blame that game on Hargrave. Hargrave played his tail off in that game. He actually played very good, and so like it made no sense because I was like, I feel like he played really good in this game, and all of a sudden, this last play, like one of the last plays of the game, he gave up. So I don't think he gave up. That's why I knew something was deeper than it had to be. And of course, we found out. So I went back. I looked at the film. I was watching the 22. I always watch the 22. And Hargrave had a good game, man. And we're really gonna miss him because I feel like that was one of his best games he's played for the 49ers. That sucks, man, because we really need him, his presence. Kyle said they're gonna call up Kalia Davis a couple weeks from the injuries. That he's always injured. And then they have
he is always injured.
They signed somebody else. Yeah. Then they signed somebody else today to the practice.
Yeah, they signed some guy that I've never heard of.
Elevate. He was on the team he was on the team during training camp. Let me see his name. I can't even remember his name. That's how.
I think it starts with like an I or something.
Let me see. Let me check out that RSF 49ers page. They usually have it. Shaquille Brown.
Okay. I don't know who he is. That guy right there, number 60. Woo, we got him, dude. We're Super Bowl bound right there.
Sweet.
Oh, he has like a Bucky Beaver face. Oh, sweet. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're good. I want to know. I want to switch topics for a bit. I want to know if because I wanted to put the interview up on here. I'm not I don't have monetization anymore, so I probably could have put it, but I couldn't get it to download from anywhere. The Matt Maiocca kind of go back and forth he had with Kyle today.
Oh yeah, I posted
Kyle Shanahan. Instagram. He was grouchy Kyle today.
He's spicy.
He was Mr. Pissy Pants. I never see him get after Maiocca. Like if Grant says something, Grant always has a motive behind what he's probably going to talk about it in his live show after. So they know about Grant. They know that he kind of, he does those kind of things. But to him to get like that after Maiocca, I was like, wow, damn. He said he didn't really say it was a stupid question, but he insinuated that he's like, that question didn't make any sense. I still don't know what he was trying to ask.
So yeah, and that's crazy because Maiocca's like the senior, right? He's like the guy, like you got a lot of respect for Maiocca. He's like the big time media guy, the guy. And Kyle looked at him, he like laughed, and he's like, "I don't know what the hell you just said." I was like, "Oh,
oops." I don't know if you picked up Maiocca's after the game for NBC, Niners NBC, whatever they have their post game with Dante Whitner. Dante ripped into the defense, said they're not doing anything right, blah, blah, blah. And then Mayoka came on and was throwing daggers. I've never seen Mayoka because, like I said, I repeated this in all my live stream this year. I listened to 4 people: you, Sterling Bennett, Mayoka, and Barrows. Those are the 4 guys that I trust for news because I know they're not trying to sell me, handles to grab my pots. They're just going to give me news. They don't have any motive behind it. And so when I see someone like that get the burn treatment by Kyle, it's like, damn, dude. But he went in on everybody in the post game. He said stuff about Ronnie Bell. I mean, he was laying into people, and I like to see that.
I respect it out of Mayoka because you know what? We need more people to be honest and be upfront and not be afraid to speak their mind. And you're not trashing everybody. You're just keeping 100%. And if you watch the game, yeah, those were issues. Those were flaws. And I think Kyle knows it. You can't sit there and be all like Mr. Goody Two-Shoes. But also, I think Mayoka is learning too because he does have a YouTube. He wants people to see. I mean, I'm not saying he's doing it for the views. I think he's realizing like, hey, look, come watch me because I'm going to give you real. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. He's not just going to sit there and tote the company line. He knows.
He's not going to glaze guys just for the sake of glazing them. Yeah.
Glaze them. You got to keep it 100%. I think people respect it. I try to be the same. Like, yeah, on my post game, I was furious with guys like Ronnie Bell. But I'm at the end of the day, like you said, I'm a positive guy. I'm still going to tell people. You are very positive. I'm still going to tell people like, hey, guess what? It's not over because I don't believe it. I'm not just saying it to say it. I'm just in my heart of hearts. I know this team's still got a big fighting chance. Great as the underdogs, like I said, but you have to keep it a buck with people. You need to be real with people.
I'm sure when they watch film, they're keeping it a buck and they're keeping it real with people. I mean, you're not going to sit there and watch film with Kyle Shanahan and he's not going to rip your ass. I'll tell you what, though, I really, really loved the post game interview with the Raiders coach.
Antonio Pierce.
He said that dudes were making business decisions and that they're going to start making business decisions. Those are the kind of coaches I like. I like the Belichicks, okay? Or excuse me, not Bill Belichick, Bill Parcells. I love guys that rip your ass. Because some guys need tough love. You can't always pat somebody on the back and say, well, we'll get them next time, buddy. It's going to be okay. No, some people need fire in under them. So I appreciated that very, very, very much. Darren D, you said, what about Lombardi? I have him. I don't follow him on YouTube and I have him unblocked, just like Brandon. I'm on Twitter. So I have no idea what he says. I'm sure it's not positive. So, hey, you got to do what you got to do to make that money on YouTube, man. God bless you. What can I say? Let's move it along here. You said Jauan Jennings. Let's talk about him. You said FedEx Ground and Air Player of the Week. He had 11 catches for 170 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know he was that good. When I see that, it excites me when other players come back because now it kind of makes me realize that maybe now Brock has got even more confidence in him. Like the Niners, once they get everybody back, I feel like that makes Brock better, that he was able to trust him and have a good connection with him, in spite of all the guys that were missing. We're without Christian McCaffrey, we were out Kittle, and Debo as well. So having all those guys back, I think that just makes him better. But man, you went to camp this year. Did you see anything like this in training camp with Jauan Jennings to give you any inclination that he was going to pop off?
I saw it last year, and I think most people have seen this out of Jauan. I think every year he's steadily gotten better and better and better. And that's why I said he's a dependable guy, right? He's a guy you can count on. 4th down, 3rd down. Who's the guy Brock usually goes to? It's usually Jauan Jennings. Big play he needs, it's always Jennings. And I feel like he had this in him, but he was always lost on the depth chart. You have CMC, you got Debo, you got Kittle, you got Ayuk, and then Jennings. He was like 5th option. Now all those guys are out. He's your top option, especially if Brandon Ayuk's getting bracketed. Brock trusts this guy. And I think that trust is because of, what they did in training camp. They built that trust. They built that relationship. And I saw it, as the 2 training camps these last 2 years with him. It's like, wow, Brock really has found a guy that he trusts. And I know Brock wasn't really there last year in training camp, but when he was, he was kind of cooking with Jennings. And this year, man, I mean, it was like, wow, Jennings was always very valuable because, again, Brandon Ayuk wasn't there in training camp. And Debo was so good in training camp, but so was Jennings. Like, those 2 guys, was we're cooking with Brock, and I was like, okay, I see this growing and growing, and now Brock trusted him because he's like, okay, I can't focus on what I don't have, and I think that's why Brock is really good because he doesn't focus on, well, Kittle's not here, oh shit, oh well, oh, Debo's not here. It doesn't matter. He has the guys he has, and he's going to make them open. He's going to get them the ball. That's why I like Brock, because he can elevate these guys. And he's like, all right, I got Jennings. I know what he can do. I know his timing on the field. We're going to still run the same. It's still the same playbook. It's just a different player, and they got to execute. And shout out to Jennings. He executed at the highest level. Shout out to Brock. He executed at the highest level. And together, they made magic, man. And it was fantastic. And you're right. Moving forward, now you got another guy. People got to worry about Jennings. People got to worry about this guy, that guy. So, end of the day, man, I got to give my hat off to Jennings. What a performance. I feel bad that he didn't, get the dub, because the last two games.
He didn't speak to the press after the game. They said he.
I respect. I don't think he should have. And there's a couple things. The two big games that he had in his career, the two biggest games, I should say, they were both come from behind losses, right? And Super Bowl, we all know he should have been the MVP if they would have won. Last game on Sunday, I mean, he was the dog. If they win that game, he's the NFC Offensive Player of the Week. Shout out to JD5, though. He had a great Monday night. But the thing about that, not speaking, I'm sure he was upset, but also he's a humble guy, because if he would have went in front of the media, it would have been all about him. He would have taken the spotlight, not in the loss. He didn't want to take away from his team. He knows he did great, whatever, but you don't need to go out there and take the spotlight when your teammates are fucking feeling like trash. So shout out to Jauan Jennings. He was the good teammate. To me, that's a great moment for him, and saying, hey, I'm not going to take the spotlight, because everybody would have asked him, oh, how you feeling tonight? Bro, fucking lost the game. Why do you think, how am I feeling? Yeah, great personal accolades. Like, it's cool to have, those individual moments, but I like that he didn't want to be bigger than the team. So, and also, yeah, he was probably pissed off that they lost. And what are you going to say? Like, what is the media going to ask you? How are you feeling?
Oh, no, it's Ronnie Bell's fault.
Yeah, no, I like that he kind of took the high road, and but I do feel bad because his special night was ruined.
What do you take from the fact that Brock Purdy is such a professional, and he keeps his cool even in a loss on the sideline? You never see him tossing stuff around and screaming at guys. He just is stoic. And the fact that he's taken up for Ronnie Bell, which most of us, not as a human, but as a player, we hate right now. We don't like him as a player. As a guy, he's probably a swell dude, but as a 49er wide receiver, he sucks right now. I mean, can he get better? Maybe, probably not. But, Brock had his back. I guess he went to him and said some stuff to him and got him to keep his head up high. And he said he appreciated that. So props to Brock. Again, another thing that they don't talk about in the media is about how you control the locker room when you're the lead dog at quarterback. And I think Brock does that.
Yeah, no, I mean, kudos to Brock. I posted about that. So let's go back to that. I'm finding all the posts about that specific. So yeah, Brock Purdy, after the game, he basically said, we got Ronnie's back. I could have threw a better ball. He took blame for Ronnie Bell dropping the pass, and he didn't have to. I was like, wow. You could just see the humbleness. He's a true leader. He's a great teammate. Like, wow. I mean, Purdy believes he could have given Bell a better ball on his late drop. The fact of the matter is, Brock, he plays with his heart. He's a true captain. Like, you can see why they made him a captain, because he's going to sit there and say and deflect, because I'm sure Ronnie Bell felt like absolute trash that night. And, he played bad, and everybody just dogged him. And I don't blame them. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, don't dog Ronnie Bell. He had to come. I was on live, and I said, dude, you got to make that catch. I told him to put the fries in the bag, bro. Like, I know I said some stuff. But at the end of the day,
you weren't the only one that said that.
Shout out to Brock Purdy for being a true. This guy is such a class act. And so today, Ronnie Bell. I think Dave Lombardi tweeted this out. He says Ronnie Bell said Brock Purdy offered him words of encouragement after his bad drops against LA. He says the best thing for me in the last couple of days was Purdy coming and talking to me. He says he really helped lift my spirits. It helps a lot to have guys having your back like that. Like, whether you like him or not, which most Niner fans probably don't like Ronnie Bell right now, that's pretty dope.
Peter Parker being one of them. And he says, right now, right now, he's always sucked.
Yeah, no, but I mean, this is the thing. I get it. He dropped a lot of passes in that game. He's dropped passes preseason and last season. Like, Ronnie Bell should probably not have been in that opportunity but Kyle trusted him for whatever reason. But the moral of the story, the big point I'm getting to is kudos to Brock Purdy, man, for being that guy. Like, end of the day, whether you like Ronnie or not, like that's dope for Brock to like say, hey man, dude, don't listen. Like that's the teammate you want because things are gonna happen. And when you have a quarterback like that that can say, I got your back, that means a lot, man. So shout out to Brock.
We talk about, no, that's fine. Talking about Ronnie Bell, a lot of people, including myself, want to know why Jacob Cowing got 0 snaps, offensive snaps, or at least that's what they said he had in the game against the Rams. Kyle was asked about it, and Kyle pretty much gave the kind of the no answer of like guys not being ready, and that he might be ready if his number's called upon. If the injury actually happened, he would have went in. I want to know, as Raj's point of view, what is your take on this Kyle Shanahan anti-rookie movement when it comes, especially on offense? Defense, it seems like he's a little bit more lenient, but like, people are like thinking, and even myself are like, oh, when Pearsall's healthy, he's going to come back. I don't even have a guarantee that that's going to happen. So what's your take?
I mean, first of all, if Ricky Pearsall is in the doghouse after getting shot, he went through hellfire and brimstone. This man come on, you can't put Ricky in the doghouse. Kyle, don't put Ricky in the doghouse. But no, what I'm saying is it's tough to be a wide receiver in Kyle's offense. It's just tough to be an offensive player because he has high standards. But he said it before many times. He has a very high standard for all wide receivers. It's tough. He puts them in the doghouse. And I know Jacob Cowing the week previously muffed a punt. I think that might have pissed off Kyle. Like, you lost your opportunity because rookies get very small chances. And Kyle trusted him being the punt returner. Like, hey, we're going to make you the return man. For Kyle, that's a huge step for a rookie to be an actual return man. You get the responsibility of that. And he squandered it by muffing it. And again, Kyle puts a lot of emphasis on his special teams. Now, I know that special teams unit isn't great, but if you mess up in special teams, you're not going to get the opportunity in the regular offense. And that's what Kyle does. He tests you out in these small moments. He says, all right, let's check you out here. Let's check you out here. Okay, you check the box. Okay, here. Okay, let's try special teams. Oh, you fucked up. Okay, now, if you can't handle it in special teams, how are you going to handle it in the offense? And that's Kyle's mindset. And it sucks because maybe Cowing would have made that catch. Maybe he would have had a jet sweep that gave him a first down. I don't know. But you want to see him get an opportunity and at least go through growing pains because Ronnie Bell has had opportunities since last year and he's made mistakes and then he continues to make mistakes. And then he goes there, game on the line, and he swats it away like he's afraid of the ball. And it's like, dang, man, would Cowing have caught that? You don't know because Kyle said he's not ready. And to me, the moment where Kyle decided that was when he muffed the punt the week before.
When I saw him pat that ball, I was like, oh, we got a flincher. We got a flincher. He was flinching when he was over the middle and he dropped it. I was like, oh, we got a flincher. That's what I always think. Flinchers, like they're easily scared and you could jump scare them all the time. My dad was a flincher. Oh, that's what I thought. I was like, oh, we got a flincher. Prop 49ers thinks that, maybe we don't see what goes on in practice and that maybe Kyle takes it a lot more serious. I don't know. Maybe Ronnie Bell is a really good practice player and just sucks in games. And maybe so far Cowing has been dookie in practice. I don't know.
No, not there. Kyle is big on practice, though. You're right, but I don't know. I guess maybe Ronnie Bell is the greatest practice player of all time.
All time. Did you see the clip from Nick Bosa talking about how he hasn't slept since the game?
I posted it. The comments I got were crazy. They were like, "Oh, a millionaire can't sleep at night." I was like, "Oh, that didn't go over it. That didn't go as well as I thought it was going to."
Raj had a completely different mindset. He's all positive. He's like, "This will make people feel great about Nick." Because Nick's been a no-show other than those 2 sacks. Nope. You should know better by now. Niner fans, hey, listen, I'm a New Yorker, and I know how bad fans can be as far as like just being unrelenting on players. Mm-hmm. This is a West Coast team, and the 49er fans are pretty bitter, angry individuals when it comes to, that 30-year wait for a Super Bowl. People don't have no time for that mess. They're not going to listen to that. I thought it was funny, though.
This guy right here, this guy said, Look at the comments. Yeah, hold up. Here's the comments. This guy says, the highest paid defensive player had 3 total tackles against backups. I'd find it hard to sleep, too. Oh, man. People.
Not wrong. He's not wrong. Oh, man. When you get paid that much money, bro, man, it's fair game to be criticized. I'm sorry. Just like people who put their life on social media, bro. You deserve all the scrutiny you get. You're putting your life out there. You're a professional athlete who makes more than some people would make in 400 lifetimes over. And like you said, all these backups, and you got 3 tackles falling. Nick's always falling. That's the one thing about Nick Bosa that always gets me so pissed. He's always falling. Why are you always falling? You can't sack people if you're on your ass. I don't know what it is. He has great bend, like people were saying about freaking what's his face, Drake Jackson. He's got great bend. Yeah, that's all he's got. Yeah, Nick had me pissed off in that game too. The sleepy head stuff after the game, and same thing with Ayuk. Their personalities drive me insane.
I don't know, man. I think Bosa's playing his butt off. It's just the problem is he doesn't have help on the other side. Like, you watch the game and you watch the film. Like, Bosa's getting doubled, triple chipped. Like, okay, no excuse. He's the best of the best. He should be able to beat that. But man, every play they run right. Like, if you watch the play, they snap the ball, they throw a tight end at him. He gets like thrown off his balance, and then they double team him with the lineman. So it's like, and then he doesn't get called, for any, if they're holding him, it doesn't matter. So he's kind of being like just abused out there. And then off the left side, or the opposite side of Bosa, when he lines up, there's really no pressure. So it's like, all you got to do is know that Bosa's, you can hold him in check. He's not going to get any help from that other side. So it's kind of frustrating watching it, because you know how good Bosa is, but he doesn't really have help on the other side. So, and I thought Leonard Floyd was going to be that guy. It's still early, but I don't know, man. It's like if you had 2 guys crashing the gates, it's like, oh crap, what do we do? What do we do? But okay, as long as we can try to double, triple, and chip out Bosa, the other guy's not going to help. I don't know.
49ers throwback doesn't want to hear it. He says, look at Myles Garrett and TJ Watt. They're still dominating. So
TJ Watt was built on another planet, man. That guy's something else.
Leonard Floyd has been non-existent. I can totally agree on that one. I thought he was going to be really good.
Still early, though. Still early.
Defense, we've talked about it. They were bad in all phases. I'll put it this way. Here's 3 guys, or 2 guys, really. 1 guy. Let me rephrase this. We're looking. Sorry.
Hello?
It's me. It's my internet.
Okay. I was wondering.
I have rebooted it about 20,000 times, and it's still giving me problems on StreamYard. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, we're good. We're cooking.
So the 2 guys that everybody really had a problem with, including myself, were Yiadom and Devontae Edwards.
Devondre
Campbell. Yeah. Everyone's screaming for D Winters. Some people are screaming for where's the other linebacker's name? Curtis Robinson, Rocky Sin, Renardo Green. They want anybody but the 2 players that were playing. What is your take on that?
Should never have gotten rid of Jalen Graham, but we did. And Devondre Campbell is slow as molasses. Hopefully Dre Greenlaw could come back at some point. They said mid-season, and I hope he's ready to rock and roll, because Devondre Campbell, he can't cover. He can't play the run. I can see why Green Bay got rid of him. This guy is terrible, and Fred Warner's having to pick up a lot of slack for this guy. Like, Fred Warner's great, but he's trying to play like 2 linebackers out there. It's frustrating. Devondre Campbell, let me tell you this stat, Aaron. He had a perfect passer rating against when he was thrown to. Whenever they threw it to him, completion. And then 1 play was a penalty. So this man, if you're playing against the Niners and you want to complete yards, just throw it on Devondre Campbell. It's unbelievable. And yeah, Yiadom, the guy needs, just bench him for Renardo Green.
CMC is done for the year? I don't think so. He might
be. I mean, I don't think it's a good sign that he's going to Germany to get special treatment.
Nirav Pandya didn't share the same sentiment as you. He said it doesn't necessarily mean he's seeking a second opinion. He might be seeking a second opinion because of the swelling and everything that he's dealing with the Achilles tendonitis. So maybe there's a lot of people are saying stem cell.
I think he's going to get like a stem cell treatment or some unapproved FDA, because in America, some things aren't approved here treatment-wise.
Yep.
At the end of the day, it's just not a good thing that he's going to Germany to get other options.
No, it's not.
I don't think it's a good thing.
That food Joe says, brah, he's done. We'll see. You might be right. It sucks. Somebody had a comment before about what do we think about the 49ers? What's the plan behind Mason? Are they going to run him into the ground too? I mean, we saw some Isaac Guerrero. Guerrero doesn't have a lot of moves. He just kind of runs forward hard.
And he's fast. That's it.
He's fast.
And but the thing, he's very raw. Like, his vision is still something that, needs to be, I mean, I don't know if he'll ever have the vision. He needs to figure out, where to run, be patient. He needs to be a patient runner. You can't just take that first, cut you want to take. You got to wait and see the holes open up. But yeah, hopefully they get Guerrero more opportunities. They gave him a few more this game, but he is a raw player. He's never really been a starter, so he's going to take some time to get revved up. In the meantime, Jordan Mason's carrying the ball almost 20 yards a clip, or 20 carries a clip a game. And that's tough, man. You don't want him to wear down. You were hoping to have CMC and Mason, a 1-2 punch. Right now, it's a one-man show. And you worry, will Mason break down? Because it's happened before. Raheem Mostert, Matt Breida, Jeff Wilson Jr., Jerick McKinnon, Carlos Hyde, Elijah Mitchell, blah, 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 Tevin Coleman. You name a running back the 49ers have had under Kyle Shanahan, and they fall apart at some point. Christian McCaffrey, I hope it doesn't have to Jordan Mason, because I'm telling you what, man, you need a 1-2 punch, because the Niners run the ball a lot. That's a running team, and you need to have a guy to let Mason take some rest.
And they got Patrick Taylor there, but that doesn't seem like he's going to see the field unless there's a massive injury to, say, Guerrero or something. What the hell was I going to ask you? I had a question right on the end of my. I wanted to kick it over a little bit to Brandon Aiyuk and just ask you straight up, where is he? What is happening? Is it just missed reps, lack of training camp? He seems a little bit like he's not. He don't got a lot. He's got like a ticker problem right now, like heart. He doesn't seem motivated.
Yeah.
You listen to him talk, and it's just like, I know you're always like, what, dude? What's the problem?
Yeah, he looks like, you're right. He lacks the heart. He lacks the energy. I don't think his heart is in San Francisco. I don't think his heart is with the Niners right now. I think he doesn't have that swagger. I think part of it, yeah, he's rusty. He's out of shape. It's blah, blah, blah. He was practicing at high school. He was practicing in front of a tree.
A giant tree.
Yeah, come on. Okay, that's where you were doing. You didn't keep yourself in shape with the team. You need to get the conditioning. Same thing like Trent Williams, right? He's gassed out in these games. So Brock's, maybe they don't have the same. They're not on the same page. He's getting better at getting open, Brandon Aiyuk. But the first 2 weeks, it was kind of like he couldn't separate. He's just not Brandon Aiyuk that we know. And also, he used to be the fourth option, and people forgot about him, and he was, doing great. Now he had to be the number one option. He got double teams. He was getting bracketed. Maybe he didn't know how to deal with that, and he's still kind of getting into his groove. He's still in preseason mode. And, if you really think about it, because when training camp was going on, what was he doing? He was watching it. He was getting viral videos shot by me and other content creators instead of practicing. Thank you, Brandon, for letting me go viral on training camp, because that video
that engagement, baby.
It was fucking fantastic. I'll tell you that. I got like CBS, Bleacher Report posted me. That was my crowning jewel of off season. But
whatever, right?
It didn't help him. It didn't help him. And I feel like his heart's not in it. The whole off season, he kept on saying, will trade me here, go there, I'll go to Washington. That just told me then, like, he never was really committed here. They had the contract waiting for him for weeks, and he sat on it. Like, I think at the end of the day, he was like, all right, screw it. I got to take the contract. No teams are going to want me. I don't want to go to any of those teams. I just don't think he really knew what he wanted, and he settled to be with the Niners. I don't think he wants to be here. And like you said, I don't think interviews.
That Fu Joe says he wants to. I don't think he wants to be here either. When he got re-signed, did you get an overwhelming sense that he wanted to be a Niner?
No, he just, again, his energy when he talks.
He's always like kind of rocking when he's talking.
He just has no energy. And like that Debo show last week when he was a guest, I mean, he had no energy. Today, you saw the interview in the locker room, and he's like, oh, yeah. It's like, dude, put some fucking pep in your, like, be happy. You're making $30 million a year. You should be smiling.
You're making what they call you money. That's what that is. And you're like, And then you got a guy who's making a quarter of what you make and is bawling his butt off. And he's literally, his hair is on fire in Juwan Jennings. And then there's you.
Well, that's what I
Why?
said. The difference is Jennings plays with heart, and he always has to prove himself. He had to work his way up from being a 7th-round pick to being on the practice squad. Brandon Ayuk, 1st-round pick. He was the handpicked guy to replace Emmanuel Sanders. Be this guy. He was the guy that Kyle wanted. Like, you were always like meant to be good for this team. Jennings had to work. He had to work for his opportunities. Brandon Ayuk didn't have to, and he got, it was a given. Oh, once his 4th year is done, 5th year, he's gonna get a cut. Like, it was just like a given. Why? Because
Didn't I say to you a million times in the offseason, and you were a little bit more, like I said, you're always positive. He's not a playmaker. He's not a game changer. He's a good receiver, but he ain't $35-40 million a year receiver good. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
and he's proven it. And 49ers throwback is like, he's pissed they didn't win a Super Bowl. Then play better. You're one of the reasons we lost.
But this goes back to the Super Bowl. His ability not to separate, his poor performance dates back to go back to the Super Bowl. He was so bad. And okay, the Detroit game, that was the last time we really saw Brandon Ayuk have that heart, that excitement, that because even after the game, you remember Brandon Ayuk after the game, that interview where he was, oh, ladybug, like he was like energy, like, yo, the ladybug landed on my, oh yeah, the ladybug, that. And then in the locker room, he's with Trent Williams, and they dancing, they cooking up, the vibes. I have not seen that Brandon Ayuk
nothing
since Detroit.
Everybody on the team's got to go through this season just like you, bro, and they probably don't want to do it. They probably just want to be back in the playoffs, but unfortunately, that's not how it works. That Fu Joe says he ain't T.O. T.O. is a special player. He might have been a freaking Goomba and a malcontent and a troublemaker, but he was good. He was really good. You imagine T.O. in the modern game right now in this offense? Dude, he'd have like 200 catches and like 2,700 yards.
He was something.
I want to remind people one thing too who don't know. Do you know that Jerry Rice, I think he had, did he have 22 touchdowns in 11 games in 1987 because of the strike? Do you people who sleep on Jerry Rice? I know it's a really off topic. Dude, that's insane. In 11 games, he had 22 touchdowns. That means he's the man.
He was getting 2 a game.
That 87 team, when they didn't win the Super Bowl that year, DeBartolo was going to fire. He was going to fire Walsh on the spot.
Wow.
And Carmen Policy was like, no. And then, of course, the next year we won it with Cincy, and then we won it again with Denver, and Montana was Joe Montana, man. Like, he's the greatest, and Jerry Rice was Jerry Rice. But like, yeah, I just thought about it, how like,
it's crazy.
Ayuk's good, and all these guys are good, but these guys aren't like world-changing wide receivers. They're like, I think these guys wouldn't be as good in different offenses. I really believe that. I think that they're specifically made for a Kyle Shanahan or a Mike McDaniel. I think Debo would do really good in Miami. I think he'd be a really good player in Miami, but he can't stay on the field. Every time I see a training video of Kittle and Debo in the offseason, I want to punch my TV. You know why? Because it doesn't ever translate into anything.
I feel bad for them.
Always hurt all the time.
But they play so physical, man. That's part of their game, and that's the thing. They're gonna. I've already accepted that Debo and Kittle are gonna miss 2 to 3 games a season.
I know, but it drives me insane because I'm like, why are you showing me this when I know you're going to be laid up at some point during the season?
But it's cool to see them train. But you're right. I know you're an ass.
I'm an ass. That's okay though. Okay. You're nice. Okay. I'm an ass. That's the dark side, the light side. It all works in unison.
It's the yin and the yang. I know.
And then the last thing I really talk about when we get out of here is special teams, bro. Like, how does John Schneider or whatever his name is still have a job in the National Football League? They were bad last year, bro. They've given up a blocked punt.
Terrible,
they gave up a punt. Was it punt return?
4th down, fake punt.
Yeah, and Kyle's like, yeah, we were in position to do it. We just didn't stop them.
That's the thing that pissed me off. He said, we knew it was coming, and you let it go, and you let it happen and get a first down.
That I didn't realize how much that took the momentum that we had. That was like dangling by like a string, and it was gone after that. Yeah, that was horrible. I don't have any faith. And then I've said this before. I said it on the other shows this week. If Moody was my teammate and he gave me that grin after the kick, I would have punched him in the head in the locker room.
Did you see Bosa after he missed that field goal? He was like, that's how I was like, what do you do? You make that
indoors.
Field goal, the game's
indoors.
Make that field goal, and it's game over.
His body language after it is what kills me. His face in the helmet. He's another one of those guys who looks like he's just there. I don't know who has it. It's him and Ayuk. Bosa has it a little bit, but Bosa's he's a legit badass, okay? But Kittle or Ayuk and Moody, their body language screams, "I need to hit you." Like I want to. I don't know, man.
I was so mad, dude, that Moody missed that because he had such a good week a couple weeks ago. He was the NFC Player of the Week.
Right.
That it's like, okay, this is the problem when you draft a kicker that high. If he misses, they're gonna get roasted. Media is gonna be all over their ass. Then you're gonna get flamed on, and it just sucks because Kyle set this man up for failure. If you really think about it, drafting him that high as a kicker, man, that's just bad juju. And again, anytime he messes up, it's magnified. It's got a huge magnifying glass on him. He missed that kick. I was so sick to my stomach, Aaron. And you're right. Special teams. Okay, let's talk about it. They've given up big returns. They've had a muffed punt. They've had a blocked punt. They've had a fourth down fake punt converted on them. They had the missed field goal. It's just every week, special teams puts them in a hole, and it's like you have to win, not just defense and offense. It's all three aspects of the game, and consistently, special teams keeps other teams in the game. And poor field position is a reason why they, that was one of the reasons they lost to the Vikings because they were in bad field position. So you got to realize, with this team and special teams, even though they might be working some team, if your special teams makes up some mistakes, that can lead another team. That can keep another team in the game. And for the Rams, you don't want to keep them hanging around. They got a coach that knows how to play.
Their quarterback's really good, man.
They've got a good quarterback. You can't let anybody hang around in this league. And my last point is, at the end of the day, man, this team is the same team that didn't know the overtime rules in the Super Bowl. Like, these are things you need to know. Your special teams, your fundamentals are just not sound.
And I want to say something. We blasted at the end of after the Super Bowl, everybody got after Steve Wilks, and rightfully so, right? The players, they kind of were taking jabs at him. You got your guy this year and you just sucking. So what's the problem? Like all this, like, we're not going to change anything because, it already works, which I think is kind of like loser talk because sometimes if things work, but they don't get you to win a Super Bowl, maybe they don't work and maybe you need to try something different. So like this whole mindset of like, well, it works. Let's not change it. And let's not rock the cradle with all these big name, big price defensive players, but they've played like trash. And now, like, what's the answer? I don't want to hear that he needs time to figure out his guys and he's got to figure out this and figure out that. Like, I don't want to hear that, dude. This is a Super Bowl caliber team with aging players and big fat contracts that are not going to be here after next year or the next 2 years. So yeah, the whole defensive coordinator 2-man thing is just dumb. I don't know, man. I'm just stressed out. What do you think, real quick? New England, we win?
Oh, we're winning this game.
We have to, right?
If they lose 3 in a row, this team's it's gonna be suicide watch on Niners Twitter. But I think the Niners
hands like I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna shave my head.
No. I think the Niners win this game. I think they get back on track. They'll go to 500. They'll be 2-2. I mean, the Patriots, they got a decent defense. They can run the ball, but they don't have enough talent to compete with the Niners right now. Drake May, he's a rookie quarterback. Their whole quarterback situation's kind of wonky. So I think at the end of the day, Niners are going to be okay. They'll win this game. Home crowd. I don't think we need to panic. I think the 49ers are going to win this game.
Renee's feeling
2-2.
The same thing as me. I'm stressed out as well. Yeah, I know. I'm a lot of people discouraged with my attitude, but at least I'm real. Raj is way more positive, but we're going to get out of here, everybody. Raj has had a long day. He was on a stream before this one and now on this one. So
no, it's been a long day.
Take care. We'll see you next week. Hopefully we're talking next Wednesday about a 2-2 record. And everyone take care. See ya.